Where's the ruckus, Ben?
Applejack here was stealing my drink, Sully. Caught him red-handed.
No, I thought it was my drink, Mr. Sully. Honest.
If Ben Poole says you were stealing it, Jim, you was.
You're always mooching drinks anyway, Jim. Time you was taught a lesson.
No, it was a mistake. Look, I got the money. I'll pay for the drink. See?
Seen him flash that $20 gold piece around here plenty of times, Steamboat. But I ain't ever seen it broken.
You want free drinks, Jim? Well, we'll give them to you. All you want. Outside in the horse trough.
No. No, not again.
Lock the door. Oh,
No, don't throw me in there. I get pneumonia. I'll die.
Go ahead.
Won't somebody listen
Put
to
that
me?
man down.
I tell you, it was an honest mistake. It was an honest mistake. Like...
Death Valley Days.
Howdy, folks. I'm the old ranger. When the mining communities or cattle towns sprang into being in the West, generally they were wide open and lawless. Inevitably, the towns would change. Law and order and schools and churches would come to them. But it was seldom that the early settlers were convinced of the need for these changes. Sometimes it took a miracle to convince them, such as the miracle at Whiskey Gulch.
Whatever he's done, perhaps it was an honest mistake. At any rate, isn't it up to the law to decide on his punishment?
And who are you?
Joel Todd, Reverend Joel H. Todd.
Well, preacher, why are you poking your nose in our business?
I've been sent here to build a church.
Oh.
Well, we're mostly miners here, preacher. What we want in Whiskey Gulch is exactly what Steamboat Sully here gives us. Chance to gamble, booze it up, and pretty girls to dance with. What we don't want is law and order and a church to sing hymns in. Am I right, folks?
Yeah. Right. Another thing, preacher, we like action here in Whiskey Gulch, not just mealy-mouthed words. It seems you don't like Applejack Jim being thrown in a horse trough. You care to try and stop us from doing it?
I'm a man of peace, Mr. Sully.
Preacher, you just seen your first and last baptism in Whiskey Gulch. Now get moving out of here. Come on, folks, I'm by.
Let me help you, Jim.
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure. Maybe you ain't ever seen a preacher take a town over and clamp down on a man's pleasures.
Well, maybe I ain't, Ben, but that don't mean I want it to happen. With my saloon and my gambling palace and my dance hall, I can get hit right here in the pocketbook.
All right, Steamboat, all right. Say, I got a notion. Notion that might give us a few more laughs and get rid of the preacher at the same time. I'm going to give Preacher Todd a church.
Well, now, how is giving him a church going to get rid of him?
You'll see. You'll have find the deed to the property. Here it is.
There, Jim. That'll keep you warm on the way home.
Thank you, Reverend, but no, I better not take it.
Why not?
You heard Mr. Sully inviting you to leave town, didn't you? You won't be here long enough for me to give it back to you.
Hey, preacher. You're invited in, preacher. Ben Poole wants to give you something. Something real churchy.
Come in, preacher. Come on in. Preacher, we've been reflecting. Maybe we were a bit hasty out there.
Indeed?
Yeah, and to make up for it, Ben Poole, that's Ben Poole there. Well, old Ben has decided to give you a present.
Any contributions will be highly appreciated.
Well, it's not exactly money we're offering, Preacher Todd. It's a church. Well, at least it's a building.
Bless you. Bless you both.
Well, now, the building ain't much, preacher. It ain't got no stained glass windows.
Well, I wouldn't expect that.
Fact is, you might have to do some fixing on it.
Well, I've got a strong back, Mr. Poole, and I'm sure there'll be many willing helpers.
Well, that very well may be. Anyway, here's the deeds of the property.
Thank you. Thank you.
Folks, what do you say we take Preacher Todd out there right now and show him? Huh?
Well, here we are, preacher. What do you think of it?
Like we said, Preacher, there ain't no stained glass windows.
It skipped my mind to tell you the building burned down a couple of months ago. But the land is yours if you can build a church on it within 30 days.
The preacher don't seem to like it much, does he, folks?
On the contrary, Mr. Sully, I'm sure a splendid church can be built on this site.
Upon this site, with the help of the Almighty and the citizens of Whiskey Gulch, will be erected a church. All contributions are hereby acknowledged. 1, Reverend Joel H. Todd, his life. Ben Poole, this site.
Your funds will be appreciated, brother. Will you contribute? Will you?
Yeah, the preacher put up a sign over there. Harry's over having a look. What's the sign say, Harry?
It's one of those dedication type things, Ben. That and a list acknowledging contributions. You're on it. Ben Poole, it says, this site. And there's room for a lot more names.
That's a dirty, underhanded trick, putting my name there. Folks will see it and pony up with their contributions.
Will you stop worrying, Ben? First off, everybody knows you gave the preacher that property as a joke. And second, do anybody in this town do much of anything without I do it first?
I guess not.
Well, I ain't about to give the preacher a contribution so he can put my name on that list. And to prove it, Bill, give me a bottle of whiskey. Jim. Jim. Drink up. Go on, it's better than you're used to getting. There's my word on it. I'd just as soon give an old drunk like Jim a whole bottle of whiskey and then give 1 red cent to that mealy-mouthed preacher.
Reverend? It's a $20 gold piece. Take my advice. Use it to get to the next town.
Morning, Jim.
Morning, Reverend. 1, Reverend Joel H. Todd, his life. 2, Ben Poole, this site. 3, Applejack Jim, $20. Begging your pardon, Reverend, when the devil did I give you $20?
Last night.
I did. I guess I did.
To be honest with you, Jim, at the time you suggested I use the money to go to the next town. If you still want it used for that purpose, I'll return it to you.
3, Applejack Jim, $20.
Might say you're the first member of my congregation.
I am. Reverend, you keep that $20.
Jim, I strongly suspect you're heading for Mr. Sully's saloon for a drink. Well, as the first member of my congregation, it behooves you to give up liquor.
It does. You mean as of right now?
That's exactly what I mean. Otherwise, I'll have to return your contribution and remove your name from the list.
Oh, couldn't I have just one little eye opener, Reverend?
Not even one little eye opener. Come on, Jim. I know you can do it.
3 Applejack Jim, $20.
Old Applejack, right on time as usual. Looking for his morning after.
What'll it be, Jim?
Nothing. Thank you kindly. I've given up drinking.
You what?
Given up drinking? Just come after my coat that I left here last night.
Steamboat, Ben? Heard the news?
Applejack Jim ponied up $20 to the church fund. His name's on preacher's list.
Stop worrying, you told us, huh? Nobody does nothing in this town unless you do it first. Well, Applejack Jim's gone and done it. And when one fella does it, it snowballs. I've seen it happen 1,000,000 times.
Oh, hoo-haw. One turncoat don't make a congregation. Besides, maybe Jim can be unconverted. Harry, pour me a glass of whiskey. Jim! Jim, how would you like a free drink? And a $50 bonus for drinking it.
Bonus? Thanks. I ain't drinking, Mr. Sully.
I'll make it 100.
No, sir.
200. 300.
I'd like to, Mr. Sully. No.
400.
Maybe you didn't understand me, Mr. Sully, but I ain't drinking.
$500, Jim. Just for taking a little drink.
He told you, Mr. Sully, he isn't drinking. In case you're wondering, Jim, I didn't come here to see if you'd keep your promise. I was certain you would.
Thank you, Reverend.
I came here to point to Jim as a good example and to ask all of you to follow in his footsteps. Who'll be the next to find his path to the Lord?
Hell, I told you. Look at them. They're ready to snowball. This town will be like a Sunday school if you don't do something about it.
Hey, you! Preacher! Now, I'm saying it again. We like action here in Whiskey Gulch, not mealy-mouthed words. Now, I'll give you a contribution, but you gotta fight me for it. You gotta take it away from me like a man. Here, now, or any time.
I told you, Mr. Sully, I'm a man of peace. Come on, Jim. Well, it's all clear now, Jim. Now we can start building a church.
You know, it takes a lot of timber and nails to build a church, Reverend. My $20 ain't gonna provide much of either.
True, Jim. Harsh but true.
You know, I come awful close to swallowing that drink when he got to 400. Maybe I should have. I'd have given it to the church fund. Well, half of it anyway.
I'd have given it back to you, Jim. And the $20, too. Our church won't be built with that kind of money.
And you know something else? You come awful close to winning over them Jaspers at the saloon this morning.
Yeah, I thought so, too. I wonder what went wrong.
What went wrong was you was up against Mr. Sully. He bluffed you. And instead of facing him like a man, you walked away from him. You should have fought him. You still should.
The Lord don't like violence, Jim.
Well, in case you change your mind, Mr. Sully's in his office round now. Behind the saloon.
Oh.
You know, the Lord don't seem to have paid much mind to Whiskey Gulch up to now, Reverend. Agreed he don't like violence. You suppose, maybe he wouldn't be looking?
I don't know. are looking, Lord, forgive me.
Come in. Well, preacher, you come to say your goodbyes?
I've come to fight you.
No, I can't have heard that right. Come in. Are you what?
Come to fight you, Mr. Sully. And in the event that I should win, shall we set your contribution at $25?
Well, by golly, I believe you're serious. All right, $25. You ain't got a chance of taking it away from me. Well, you stand still and fight like a man.
Sorry, Brother Steamboat, but that's the way I learned to box at the seminary. And at Harvard before that.
No, you stop that prancing around, I said. You ain't fighting, you're running away.
Are you ready to give up, Mr. Sully? If you are, I'll take that contribution.
You didn't fight fair, preacher. When you brag to folks that you beat me, I'm going to deny it. In my book, you still ain't a man.
Brought you some food, Reverend. Here, try some of this hot. What happened to your hand?
I heard it.
How?
I fought Mr. Sully. All I've got to show for it's a broken hand and the undying enmity of Mr. Sully.
Then you lost, huh, Reverend?
I was right, Jim. The Lord doesn't approve of fighting or violence. True, I've got another $25 for the church fund.
But then you won, and you can go tell all the folks so.
No, Jim, Mr. Sully believes I fought unfairly. And as a point of honor, I wouldn't say I'd whipped him anyway. I'm tired. I'm afraid only a miracle will get this church built on time anyway.
Maybe so. But it ain't gonna hurt none to help that miracle along some.
Hold on to your seat, boys. I really got news. Steamboat's name's on preacher's list. Ponied up $25 for the church fund.
I don't believe it. We all heard Steamboat tell Preacher he'd have to fight him for it. Well, Preacher's just too preachy to fight anybody. Unless... Did you talk to Preacher, Harry?
Tried to, but he was asleep and Applejack wouldn't wake him.
How about Sully?
Come from his office just this minute. Wouldn't let me in. Said he had a toothache.
Did you ask him if Preacher beat him in a fight?
I did, and he denied it.
Steamboat's got religion. Just like Applejack Jim. I told you it'd snowball, didn't I? Well, we gotta do something and fast. We're gonna run the preacher right out of town.
And they cried to the Lord in their distress. He delivered them from their troubles. He sent his word to heal them and to rescue them from death. Let them give thanks. Yes, Mr. Poole?
We come here to lay our cards on the table, Preacher. You converted Applejack here, and now Steamboat. Before you convert the whole town, we're gonna run you out of here.
Well, What makes you think Mr. Sully is converted?
There ain't no other reason for him giving you $25. You didn't fight him and you wouldn't have won if you had. Anyway, Steamboat denied it.
We didn't come here for discussions, Harry. All right, tear this junk down. When do you get the preacher's mule and let's get him out of here?
Reverend, you've got to tell him.
Jim, I can't.
Mr. Sully! Mr. Sully!
Go away, Jim.
No, sir, I won't. You've got to listen to me.
What about?
Ben and the boys are running the Reverend out of town.
Well, good riddance.
Do you know why they're running him out?
I ain't even interested.
I'll tell you why. The boys think you got religion, and the reason is that the Reverend won't tell them that he beat you in a fair fight.
You mean to tell me that that preacher was man enough not to say he beat me?
I swear, Mr. Sully.
Well, come on. Hey, Ben! Now, hold on. There's been a mistake.
There's no mistake. You're a turncoat. And we're running the preacher out before you have the whole town turning with you.
Now, there's been a mistake, I tell you. That preacher fought me and beat me fair and square. What's more important, he was man enough not to brag about it.
That's the biggest lie I ever heard. The preacher couldn't beat you if you'd let him.
It's the truth, I tell you. And I'll fight you here and now to prove it.
Your fighting me ain't gonna prove nothing. You want us to believe you? Let the preacher fight me.
All right, he will.
I can't find him, Steamboat. I can't find anybody.
Why not? You whip me, you can whip him.
No, you don't understand. When Reverend Todd fought you, he broke his right hand. He'd have to fight Ben one-handed.
And it's too late to do anything about it now. Here come old Ben like a bull moose. Come on, preacher. Come on!
I guess you don't like Whiskey Gulch very much, Lord. I know you don't like fighting at all. That miracle's sure up to you now. Thank you, Lord.
Folks, you know, I reckon maybe I saw a miracle here today. Anyways, I'm joining the preacher's congregation, and I'm upping my contribution to the church fund 10 times. Now, I suggest you all do the same. Now, come on, let's have it.
Preacher Todd's church, built with the help of Whiskey Gulch citizens and a small miracle, is still used for services. The list still exists, too, acknowledging the contributions of 1. Reverend Joel H. Todd, his life. 2. Ben Poole, this site. 3. Applejack Jim, $20. 4. Steamboat Sully, $250, and all the others.